Hello! What's going on, everybody? Back with another watch list. Hope you guys are doing well. We'll wait for a couple people to filter on in, and then we will get started. So, hang in there, and I will be right back. Alrighty, here we go. Let's kick it off. Oh, jeez. I guess I will be right back. Sorry, guys. I had a work call, and then I came back, and then I got a different person calling, and then so hopefully no more interruptions. Why don't we just throw this thing on mute, and I will call anybody back later. Okay, so what do we got here? Blue Vision, couple new names here. How's everybody doing? Telling the boat boy to fill up the boat. All good, all good. Jeff in the house. How's it going? How's it going? Alrighty, so let's dive into some stocks. So obviously, Ethereum. Let me get this mic situated. I can hear him a bit quiet there. So yeah, obviously Ethereum is the everybody's eyes are on it. Keeps pushing highs. Let me see what Ethereum's kicking at right now. 4,600. So it's continuing to build, steady grind, and continues to push highs. So let me get this chart back out of my way. So yeah, Ethereum keeps pushing, and there's sympathies. SBET is one of the larger Ethereum holdings. BMNR is the largest publicly traded, kind of like the MSTR for Bitcoin, but BMNR is that for Ethereum. And this one here was, I had my thesis, I laid it on the watch list yesterday, was looking for that first time it went red. We got multi-day run, first time it went red was today. It kind of, like the range had given up here in pre-market right around 8 a.m. where it pulled like $10. So I wasn't super eager to hit the pop into open, because anyone who was short this in pre-market is getting squeezed. So I had to wait for the squeeze to squeeze out and then try to join backside. So was steady low, steady low, steady low, tried to bounce here and immediately stuffed. So I joined that trend versus high day risk. I added some here and moved rest like over under VWAP. And we got this little rollover, low a day touch, and it just didn't stay heavy. So I covered it all. And then we got one last little clear out over these prior highs. I thought maybe that's the final top. So I shorted risk over here versus 60 again, and it flushed and came right back. So I covered it, and that was the end of that. So nothing to really write home about. It was a small winner, but avoided disaster, which was the it's fine to be wrong, just don't stay wrong, and don't want to lose the house on trying to force a bias. And part of the comments on the watch list yesterday as well was the proactive cover idea, because it is running with a theme, and typically those themes stick around and they last longer than you think. It's just not just a random small cap runner. It's got macro demand with the Ethereum sympathy. So that was the trade on that one. No real plan on trading it tomorrow, I don't think. I see some people looking at it for like a breakout here through 70 as like a T+1 idea. There is some overhead resistance, but I think the demand for buying Ethereum names is fairly high right now. Maybe if we get a couple days of consolidation, I might play it. I hate buying names with overhead resistance, but I think if it were to consolidate, it could break out tomorrow, and I probably just let it be. But if we get another day or two consolidation, then I could probably play that next leg. So Navini, I traded that one around the core there today. We pushed up into those 70s, the looking left resistance level. If you put it like an intradaily, you can see all the resistance up here. So we started getting some volume come in. I had locked about a third of that swing position. Was locked in at 71. I'm in there at 54, risking 4 cents, and I was up 17 cents. So up here, it was already a 4-to-1 trade, and the breakout hasn't even happened. So yeah, felt like it was responsible to lock it in, and now at this point is a risk-free trade, even if it comes back to 50. If I stop out, I would still be green on that idea. So pretty happy with the trade management here, and still looking for that bigger picture idea on that one. AEO, American Eagle, was looking for this 13 break. It just didn't come today, but what we did get was this little morning panic. Just straight red candle, red candle, red candle. Started to speed up. We got some volume starting to come in. So I bought the first green candle. Started to lock in. It just wasn't pushing. Every time it would touch these 1232s, it would just get hit back. So I ended up selling it all. It started to round over, and then that was the real bounce where I was looking for that 40 to 50 cent area for the bounce, and it just needed one last little flush out before it came back. So right idea, just didn't play out on my time frame, but still looking. Now that we've obviously got these wicks, and this little daily flag is still shaping up, so keeping that one on watch. BTAI, I traded this one. I can't really put my finger on it. The only thing I had mentioned to my pod this morning, so this is it wasn't going gap to gap. Over here we had 3 days of expansion, and this day started to get some decent range. So I was looking for that first red day. We got the same kind of thing with BM&R, where I was looking for that 680s was that line I was going to use from the watch list yesterday, and it failed off of it 8 a.m. And I didn't want to short these things pre-market. We got that hard pull, lower high, and I wanted to wait till open. So open came, we got this pop, high day clear out, and then I started to lean on it. It was fairly wide risk, closer to like red to green. So risk reward wise, and it just pulled back, and I didn't really love the action. We're pulling back into pre-market lows. It wasn't looking super weak. We weren't getting those sellers stacking. There was just a bidder at every penny. So I can't really put my finger on it other than by open it was already down 10%. SSR had triggered. Most of the range had come. Like I was looking for a pull into 5, and it was already gapping down to like 520, 530 by open. So I felt like most of the range, when I'm looking to short it at 680, and then I'm shorting it at like in the low 5s, and goal was 5, I just felt like the risk reward was off. My trade plan wasn't really playing out the way I wanted. So that was the reason for my cover. And obviously my gut was right, and it came all the way back. So really happy with the trade management there. Again, you can be wrong, just don't stay wrong. And I wasn't comfortable. I didn't have big size in it because I just lacked confidence in the trade. So I was like, if I'm not confident in it, if I don't feel comfortable while I'm in the trade, then what's the point in even being in it? So a few other smaller ones here on Oklo and SMR. The lockup, the IPO lockup on Oklo was today, I believe, the 180-day lockup for those IPO shares. So I was looking for that morning clear out and then failed follow through. And with this little daily higher low fail, I thought those pops back up into those levels would stay heavy. And it just didn't, so moved those on for flat. Same kind of thing with SMR. This one ended up going lower. It did break under these 42s. I'm waiting for those 42 pops, and they're just not coming. So then I was resorting to this higher low trend fail. And yeah, something like that. So I was looking for that one to roll over. And same kind of thing. We got that pop. This prior support became resistance, so I leaned on it. And every time it would pull, it just wouldn't stay heavy. So I just moved on. No sense in fighting it. And then UUU is the only other position I have, just still swinging it from yesterday. BTAI, were you ideally looking for a gap up this morning? Yeah, if you go back and tune into the watch list from yesterday, the recording, just flip through till you see BTAI. But my plan on it was to use this prior resistance as a guide on the gap today. We've got a ton of resistance on these days, and it's not trading the same amount of volume. So I was looking to use that 680s as a guide. 687, somewhere around there, after hours resistance, prior daily resistance. So I was looking to use 680s as a guide, whether it was opening flat or a slight gap down, but like 620 to 650 range. I was looking to use 680s as a guide for a lean, but 5 was that target potential that I was looking for the pullback. So anywhere up there in the mid to upper 6s was my plan for a pull to 5. So that was probably part of the reason why I wasn't very comfortable shorting at 550, looking for 50 cents when I'm already shorting this thing $1.30 off of where I wanted my ideal entry. So yeah, still swinging Vinny. I'll just flip through all these tickers and lay out any plans if I have any. Fading off, topped out at that 117 level again. Neg holding up, doing the same kind of thing it did over here so far. Binny still holding $1. MRM, 2 days of sideways on lighter volume. Don't really love that. Don't really need to watch Oklo or SMR anymore. The trade setups, they're just a bit too slow. I think it probably plays out over like the next week or so, but it's just not going to be a needle mover, so I don't need to touch those. EQ from that watch list yesterday so far is playing out how I wanted. I wanted it between 90 and 110, and we got exactly that today. So I'd set some 110 price alerts, and if this were to push 110, hold for maybe 5 to 15 minutes and then re-break, I'd like that for a trend join. So I will keep this one on watch for a 110, 120 build. PMNR, no real plan on that one tomorrow. Could be a T+1 through 70, but I just don't want to trade it with that overhead resistance. Even though it's Ethereum is screaming higher, I don't really feel confident in that idea either. AEO, if it breaks through that 13 spot. BTAI, no real plan there. Here we go. LTBR. This one is a uranium name. USR was from my Sunday scan with Chris. Once we broke out here, 1 day pullback, and then this thing is right at all-time highs. So that one's looking good. And then LTBR is in that same sector. This little wedge break here through those 14s, 15s. I didn't see it right away until like over here. So I didn't want to chase it that much higher, and I just never got a pullback. So without this ideal entry here, risking low a day. So if I were to get a flush tomorrow from like 17 down to 15, I wouldn't really want to see that. But I'd probably react to a 15 flush, risk versus prior day's lows, and then ideally it gets bought up throughout the day. But in an ideal world, we get something like this, where you get that big move, consolidate, but different than this is it would re-break out. So hopefully it tops out over here, consolidates for maybe 2 or 3 days, and then breaks out through those 17s, and I will keep that one on watch. ATNF, funny enough, this one I had on Sunday scan as well, because we had this huge trend line that started to break right here on Friday. We got this clear out and sit back and started to break down under it. So I was thinking, okay, maybe a failed follow through idea on Sunday scan, and then you can't predict this kind of stuff. And Peter Thiel came out with a 7.5% stake in this company. So not only is this linked to the Ethereum basket, but now Peter Thiel is linked to it. So that ripped it and then sent it quite a bit higher there today. So just keep it on watch because it's a percent gainer and in that Ethereum basket. So in the day that Ethereum pulls back. So we've gone over it before with something like IXHL. Why is it up? It was running up into data. So basically once that data comes, now the reason for it to be up has come and gone. So ATNF, basically the reason this is up is for 2 reasons. It's up because it's an Ethereum sympathy. This is one of those treasury names. And also Peter Thiel owns 7.5% of it. So you need one or both of those long theses to vanish. You need Ethereum to pull back, and you need Peter Thiel to exit his position or put out another filing that says he sold or something like that. So look for the reason why it's up. look for those reasons to subside, and then you get those fades and pullbacks. Same kind of thing with BTAI. This one probably holds up the same way IXHL did. And then right over here, when the data came out, just complete unwind. Until then was in a holding pattern. And BTAI has data coming out at some point this month, I think, for some phase news. And once that data comes, then it's likely just steady lows like IXHL was. So those are the plans there. APLD, another bigger picture breakout idea here through these 1540s, has tightened up enough. The 10 SMA is catching up, I believe. Let me throw it on this other chart. For some reason, it's got the EMA, not the SMA. There we go. Yeah, so the 10 SMA is starting to catch up. And I like those few days of sideways. And if it were to break this double top here and here, then I think it could get going. Wow, is this all-time highs? Impressive. So, yeah, looking good. Bigger picture swing idea there. And then this few here at the bottom of my scan, I've got no plans to trade them. But they're just one-day movers, big percent gainers. If they go on multi-day runs, possible fade ideas. If they consolidate, they possible re-breakout ideas. Was BTAI and BMNR both 1R risk for you? Yes, but they were off of like wider risk ideas. So I'm basically like, I guess I'm not always risking 1R. But like BTAI, like I was short here and I was risking like 1R, but off of like 640 red to green. So with a 560 entry, I was risking 80 cents, which was 1R. And that was the reason for the cover, is I'm like, I'm risking 80 cents, but my goal is $5, which is 60 cents. So it's less than a 1-to-1 risk reward. So I'm like, what's the point in me sitting in this trade? So it was a 1R risk, but it was just so wide, the risk reward it never would have achieved that. And then BMNR, I was a little bit more than 1R on BMNR. I had a bit more conviction in this idea, just given the daily and the range it has. Fairly liquid. We got the pullback. We got what I deem to be the squeeze out of those shorts that hit it in pre-market and didn't cover. So here I was 1R risk off of high a day, and then here I was I basically just doubled that position and moved risk to like $60 or so over under. So this was versus highs, this was like versus VWAP, and then this was like versus this little prior pop, but they were all 1R entries once I scaled in and moved risk to the appropriate spot. Oh, excuse me. So, as far as watches going into tomorrow, I would likely replace those exits on Navini tomorrow. If it's going to be opening here in the low 60s, I would likely put those shares back on. But I could also I could play it a couple ways, where I could look for dips towards this higher low trend line and continue to risk versus 50 until it sets a higher low, and then so if this were to, how do I explain this? So it's ran here from 40 to 90, and then it pulled back. We don't know if this is a higher low to here yet, because we haven't had it bounce off of it yet. So now once it pulls and then bounces, now we have a higher low of 43, and then we got a lower high of 80. Now we don't know if this is going to be a higher low until it bounces.
It's just pulling back along a trend. So now it pulls from 80 to 50. So now we do have a higher low to 43 of 50, but we also have that lower high again to 80. So if this were to pull back, we don't know if it's going to be a higher low to this until it were to bounce. So what you'd want to see here, in my opinion, is a higher low, so a pullback to like 55, 60 in this range, but then a re-break of like 72s. Because now you've got a higher low and a higher high, which it hasn't done in this whole structure yet. So that's what I would look for. Maybe not anticipate it to bounce, but once it does bounce and makes a higher high, then can move risk, add to that position once it proves a higher high. So EQ, I'll have that one on watch for a 110, 120 break and build. AEO, going to keep that one on watch for like a 1280, 13 break. Always got to keep Ethereum on watch because everybody's watching that. LTBR, I don't really want to buy it tomorrow. It's just been too straight up. If it breaks through those 17s, I'll likely just miss it. Maybe a couple days of consolidation, then I could join. APLD, I would join that through 1540s. That one looks good. So probably APLD, main watch, AO, main watch, EQ, main watch. Mostly long ideas, it looks like. Navini, not really a main watch. EQ, AO, APLD. Yeah. Probably mostly big picture breakouts, it looks like. Not a ton of short watches. These stocks gapping up, you were saying, do you consider them a group? Those stocks that they're not running together. They're just day one runners, and I don't trade day ones. So ADN, Gevo, Rumble, X4, they all ran today. They were all big percent gainers. And how do you spot multi-day runners? Is you look for percent gainers on their first day, and if they run for multiple days, then they start to come into my wheelhouse because basically all of my patterns are based off of multi-day runners. So if these push, pull, consolidate, and re-break out, I have a setup for trading breakouts. If they push for 3 or 4 days and continue to extend themselves, I have a setup for a first red day pullback on extended small caps. So just waiting for some sort of daily chart pattern to present itself, but this is the first step in identifying them, is just scanning for clean daily charts. Hasn't traded any volume, volume starts coming in, volume starts coming in, volume starts coming in, no real overhead resistance, so they could continue higher. I have no pattern on playing them right now, but first step is finding big percent gainers and keeping them on watch. Market is at all-time highs. Being long bias is par for the course. Matt's long APLD with options. Fancy. Yeah, it looks really good. We've got those couple wicks. Nice tightening on the daily. 10 SMA starting to catch up. Probably an early entry would have been like through this 1450s area, like this little lower high. Is probably like if you were aggressive once it started to build over here, these prior highs. But yeah, it looks good. I don't really trade options, but I would trade it with equities if we started to break out. I just, I went over UU yesterday, and I had bought it yesterday in the nines yesterday, and there's no trigger. I just bought it because the daily looks good and it's consolidating, holding well. But there's no pattern here. It hasn't broken out. It's flagging currently, but the breakout is the break out of that flag. And I hate that entry. So I'm still holding U's. and just respecting risk just because I'm in it anyways, so whatever. But I think the highest EV spot isn't like anticipating the breakout, but once it breaks out, just joining that. So I'm trying to be I see the merit to the early entry, but I'm just trying to be a bit more disciplined and actually wait for that level to trigger. I'm a lot happier when I do. But yeah, I agree. That pullback on the market, I expected to stay heavy here. Pullback, it broke some of those shorter term moving averages, and I was expecting this to bounce and roll over, and we didn't. So I will continue to look long and strong until something else changes again. Alrighty, guys. I think that's just about all I had to touch on for this evening. Appreciate the questions. Appreciate the comments. Thank you guys for chit-chatting with me for the last half hour. Hope you guys are doing well. Keep an eye on the Ethereum basket and those other big picture long ideas I have into tomorrow. So, trade them well, guys, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.